Share. All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm gonna say it one more time. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Just making sure this thing is working. So, make a shout out to everyone who's listening. Yes, welcome to Let's Talk About It on Reconcilers Radio in conjunction with OFNC 18 to 30s. Big shout out to everyone who's listening already. As you know, we are literally broadcasting live as well on YouTube, and we are all over the gap. So if you are interested in joining in our conversations tonight, there will be plenty of space to go around. I have a mobile phone that is on standby, ready to take your calls. So please don't be shy to call in and let us know your opinions. You can even send us WhatsApp text as well. You can send us phone that is on standby, ready to take your. You can send us. So please don't be shy to call in. You can send us all types of thoughts and stuff that you want to share with us, and let us know exactly how you are thinking about the conversation. Obviously, we will be discussing breaking soul ties. Part 2 today, and of course I have a special guest in the building. Of course, some of you can already see him, but a big shout out to those of you who are watching us live on YouTube as well. We love what we do, and we hope that you guys enjoy it too. That being said, just get ready, probably get your tea and your biscuits, okay? Because tonight's going to be a night of revelation for you. You're going to experience insight that you never thought even existed. And the fun part about all of this is, with an expectant heart, you can expect to get answers to your questions. So if if you would like to get involved, you can. Let me get those details up for you right now. If you want to get a hold of us, you can on 07447682247. That's if you want to call into the studio, you can do that. If you want to send us a text, you can do that. If you also, so I'll say that again, that's 07447682247. And even if you're watching the broadcast over again, feel free to send us a text message or a WhatsApp message about what you think in regards to what we're discussing right now. And so you can hit us up on 07447 647. You can also catch up with us on Twitter. That's at LTAI Radio Show. At LTAI, correct? Radio Show. So I will say that one more time if you want those details. For the sake of clarity, you can catch us on 07447 682247 to participate. You can also catch us on Twitter at LTAI Radio Show. Of course, you are listening to Let's Talk About It with Mr. and Mrs. Vito on Reconcilers Radio in conjunction with OFNC 18 to 30s. All right, so without delaying or holding back, I just want to literally get my guest in on the conversation and have him start speaking to you all, so you guys can get a sample of the thought processes that he has in regards to what we started talking about yesterday. Obviously, this is not the first time we've mentioned this topic, but it is probably one of the first times that we've actually had a guest in to share and talk about their angle on this subject. And of course, it's a big subject. So we want you guys to be open-minded, be willing to learn, and who knows, I guess in the process of listening, you may actually be set free from things that you've been experiencing that have been holding you back in the past few months, past few years, and literally even for a lifetime. So take in the revelation, grab a notebook, grab a pen, tea, biscuits, and let's see what happens. All right, so with me on the show tonight is the author of a book called Breaking Soul Ties. He is a mastermind on the conversation of soul ties and how they affect especially Christians. But I believe that the information that he shares is for all those who are willing to listen and is open their minds to learn a new way of thinking in especially in regards to that. His name is Pastor Shola Adio, okay, or we call him Shola Adio. He is, like I said, a mastermind. So I'm always learning stuff when this man is tweeting. I'm always learning stuff when this man is talking, and I'm always learning stuff when he's just doing what he was designed and destined to do. Amongst other things, he is a multi-talented man. So let's not hold him in the box of Soulties. He also runs a website called breakingsoulties.com. So you guys should go and check that out and be a part of the conversation that is ongoing. So without further delay, I'm going to allow Pastor to come on in and let's get this conversation going. Now, where to start, Pastor, is where I'm quite interested. But would you like to say hello to everyone if you can? I just want to make sure your audio is working before I start throwing you into the deep end. So you're muted at the moment. Because I think there was some video playback earlier, so I had to quickly do some technicals on this end. So, so just to let you know, if something technical happens, it's probably my fault. But that being said, I'd like to welcome you, Pastor, to come in and speak to us. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, very well, very well. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Good.
Yeah. So, okay, so Pastor, we started a conversation last week, okay, and we were talking about soul ties and the effects that soul ties have on people, both men and women, old and young, and I guess we cracked a big can of worms open. And I guess today I want us to go fishing, okay? Because there's no point in cracking a can of worms open if you're not going to be able to do something constructive with the worms inside. Does that kind of make sense? So I want us to go fishing tonight. And there were a couple of things that were on my mind when this topic was brewing through the last few days. And of course, I got a chance to send you some of that. So one of the things I wanted us to talk about was more stories, okay? More stories discussing the effects of soul ties, and then more specifically, the principles of how soul ties affect men and how they affect women. And then we're also going to talk about how to get out of a soul tie or some soul ties, okay? And also to discuss any challenges a person may face in breaking them after breaking them. Does that make sense? It sounds weird, right? Like if somebody thinks, well, surely if I'm free, then why am I going to face any more challenges concerning a soul tie I broke? And we're going to cover all of that. And then we're also going to talk about how to avoid soul ties. Or at least specifically more unnecessary soul ties. And if there are any type of soul ties, what kind of soul ties would you like to, would we be encouraged to get involved in? You know, Pastor, one of the things I've discovered in the last few weeks especially is that you can never really force knowledge on anyone. If somebody is interested in knowledge, they will open their minds to the opportunity to hear and at least learn. And in the short time that I've been helping people, I've learned my lesson that if I force my help on anyone, I'm creating problems for myself in the near future. And those problems include people wanting to pick up a knife and stab me in the head for telling the truth. You know what I mean? And telling the truth isn't necessarily always an easy thing. But telling the truth doesn't always involve hurting someone and abusing someone. I don't tell the truth to hurt anyone. I usually tell the truth to help someone to come out of their issues. And in the process, you have some people who are forgetful. You have some people who remain interested for maybe a few days, and then they go back to their old ways, and then they keep wondering why their bondage never broke. So that being said, let's talk a little bit more about if you can just maybe give us a recap of what a soul tie is, so we can start off that foundation and then we go straight into the deep stuff. So I'm gonna let you go in right ahead there.
Last week we traced the history of man right in the Garden of Eden, and also we looked at the composition of man, which is a spirit, soul, and body. The spirit of him being the part that is in tune with God, the soul being the part of him that is self-aware, that is self-conscious, and also his body being the vehicle through which he expresses himself on planet Earth. and then we looked at the effects of Adam's sin, and the effect of Adam's sin went all over the entire humanity, the entire mankind, and then Jesus came to plug us back to God. And in doing that, what Jesus did takes immediate effect in our spirits as soon as we receive Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. The Bible says that if any man be in Christ, is a new creature. All things are passed away and all things are become new. That applies to the spirit part of you. But to the soul part of you, the Bible says that be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we see that the effects of salvation cannot be visible in your outward life until you have your mind renewed.
Right.
Even though your spirit has been made one with Christ, your spirit is now a new creation, but there is a lifelong process that we have in reprogramming our minds. And what happened while we were growing up as unbelievers was that Satan programmed our mind. Satan lodged things into our souls. It's almost like the terrorist war that you have going on these days. When the terrorists move into an area, they go there, they cause so much damage.
Right.
That is like when we're not born again. Now, when some forces come along to flush them out, and they are out of the territory, that is like being born again. But then, even after they've been flushed out, you now have landmine that they left behind in the territory. And you see, the landmines, they are as devastating as the presence of these people themselves. Because if you step on one of those landmines, you're going to get blown up. Which is what is going on now, which is what most Christians don't realize, that when Satan was flushed out at our new birth, there were minds that he left behind that need to be dislodged, that need to be discovered, exposed, and dislodged and flushed out of our lives, so that we can have a full and unhindered expression of the power of God and the will of God and the anointing of God in our lives. So I believe this should be a very good enough recap for what was done last week.
Absolutely, I like that. I like the idea, the sort of the idea of soul ties behaving like landmines in somebody's heart until, of course, you unsuspectedly walk into an area of your life that you have yet to, how should I say, yet to reform. Yeah. And then you discover that there is something deep going on there.
Yes.
And I think it's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because I've always been of the mind that most people never know that they have soul ties until they are ready to move on and do maybe something bigger or greater with their lives, having experienced bad things in the past. Then they start to realize, oh my days, okay, I thought I was free. I thought by believing in Jesus, I thought by doing this, I would immediately be free. And like you said, the spirit of that man is free, but the mind of that man can still be in bondage, because there needs to be a reformation of that mindset, a reformation even of lifestyle. Because without the reformation of the lifestyle, all it takes is for me to take 1 or 2 bad actions to go back into a bad habit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So actions can create habits that will reinforce the man that I was, or reinforce the woman that a girl was before. There are things that can reinforce these experiences. Yes. And I think for me, it's really encouraging people to sort of look at it from the perspective of, you want to do better, you want to be better, you want to be stronger, you want to be wiser. And part of wisdom is being able to say goodbye to the things that you used to do and hello to the things that you are destined to do.
Yes.
And part of that means also disconnecting yourself and clearing mental, emotional, spiritual landmines
Yes.
that were planted into your heart in the midst of your compromises.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because that's what most people don't realize. And I guess we can start there, Pastor, which is that what are some of the landmines that arise when people are trying to do the right thing, but then they are confronted by certain difficulties? You know, I can think of a few, but maybe you can start and let us know.
Okay. While I was preparing, or more like praying and looking forward to today, I was kind of like divided between two areas, whether to focus more on emotional soul ties tonight or to focus more on sexual soul ties. And both of them, they have their roots. I mean, it's like they have their firm roots in the soul, but they kind of like express themselves just maybe a bit slightly differently, but they are interwoven. One thing again I would like to say is to define a soul tie. Soul tie simply means something that you are attached to, something that that when presented to you, you can hardly say no to it. It's almost like you don't have the power to say no to it. You are obsessed with it. So that's one definition of soul tie that you can use in asking yourself or doing some introspection as to whether you are in soul ties. Now, let me give you an example of an emotional soul tie. And you see, some of these things, you see, if Satan comes along in a red and black suit and with two horns, now you're going to know that this is Satan, and whatever you have to do, you will do it. But the way Satan works is that he doesn't come in that way. He is very subtle. He's very subtle. I was saying to someone some days back, I said, Satan is more patient than most human beings. Satan can push you to be impatient, but he's far more patient than you. If you decide that, oh, okay, this is who I am, I'm not going to do this. Now, Satan is not going to be impatient. Satan can take his time, 2 years, 6 months to get you to that point.
Right.
He's not going to come, he's not going to bring out all his cards at once and throw them at you. No. He's going to start a little, just a little crack. And once that crack is left untreated and untended, it comes again in another 4 weeks and the crack a little bit more.
Right, right.
And you see, when I say crack, I'm talking about things that are absolutely legit. They look extremely legit, but you don't know the effects and the cracks being created by the enemy until it becomes a full-blown crisis.
Absolutely. And I guess maybe we can even sort of to that sort of show the principles that are governing that, which is that in the beginning you have a touch hold, okay? And then the enemy tries to get a touch, and then eventually he gets a foot, and then eventually it becomes a stronghold. So it's that process that you're talking about, whereby initially you are sampled. And then after you've taken the sample, you get a full dose. And then after you take a full dose, you become addicted. And you don't realize the process that you've gone through. But it was very subtle, you know.
Awesome. It could be anything legit. I'll give you a personal example, for instance. Now, when I was in Lagos, after I got married, I had an intern, a female intern. We used to work together on a client site. Now, what that meant was that we would turn up for work on a client side. So it was just the two of us from our company, our consulting firm. So that meant that there was some kind of official bond in the sense that, I mean, we were working for the same employer. So it meant that we had common interest, common interest on that client site. Now, we're very friendly, but not anything that wasn't legit. Let's put it that way. In fact, she attended my wedding. She's well known to my wife, you know, and all the rest.
Right.
Then one part of it I'll talk about today was that because we worked together for like 1.5 years, it meant that in those 1.5 years, she used the same fragrance. So maybe I'm walking and I don't have my head up. The moment that fragrance comes through my nose, I know
you
that
know she's in the building. All right. I completely understand because I'm a sucker for fragrances too.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, proceed. I missed it.
So I know straight away that she's in the building. So that really was part of the identity, you know, that she had as far as I was concerned. Now, fast forward 3 years later.
Yeah.
I was walking through the shops. I was now in the UK. She was in the US. I was walking through the shops and I wanted to buy my wife a fragrance. And I knew the fragrance that she, you know, used to use then.
Right.
But maybe I'd kind of forgotten the name or something. But anyway, I picked this particular fragrance and took it home. And, you know, the first time my wife put it on, the first thing that came flooding into my head was this girl that, it was like I looked up to see if she was in the building. But this was my house.
Wow. Pertinent stuff here.
So
pertinent stuff.
So I had to tell my wife, I said, you know what, let me say something to you now. This fragrance I bought you, I mean, this girl wore this fragrance for over 1.5 years. And anytime this fragrance came through my nose, I know straight away that she was around, she was in the building, that it was just her that I associated with it. Right. I said, I have to take this fragrance off you and I'll have to give it out and buy another one for you. I said, this is the reason. Because you don't want me calling her name.
Yeah.
In the house.
Yeah, no, it's so true. You know what? You see, here's the thing. As I was saying earlier, I'm a sucker for fragrances. I never used to be big on fragrances, but fragrances would always make me look at somebody twice. And so if I walk past someone, I'd be like, oh, that smells nice. But it depends on how approachable that person is. I'll stop them and ask them, I'll say, what perfume is that? Right? I say, because you smell really nice. But I can imagine if you were having to engage with the same smell for a whole year. You see, so in what I experienced was a sample, but what you experienced was multiple doses to the point that you were like, I need to take this fragrance home with me. Now, the problem is the association that you have with that fragrance. There is somebody associated to that fragrance now.
Yes.
And so every time you smell the fragrance, you think of that person, not because you want to. I'm even laughing in my head because you know that people obviously use cocoa butter for cream. Okay.
Yeah.
An ex that I used to date used to use cocoa butter a lot. Yeah. So every time she would be around me, that smell would be very strong. This was that kind of, it's that kind of pinkish cocoa butter.
Yeah.
That it has a very strong scent to it. It's supposed to smell like perfume itself.
Yeah.
So every time I would walk past someone who smelled like cocoa butter, I would immediately remember my ex. And I'd be like, well, where's this association coming from? But this is what our senses are designed to do. They're designed to create associations. Oh, I think we're touching on to something here. And the more contact you have with something or someone, the more likely you are to formulate your ideas about those things using that connection.
Yes.
And if that connection is intense, like a sexual thing, that's when it can turn your brain, it can turn your brain to mush. And that's how people end up being victims of circumstantial sexual activity. Because they've been sampled so much now, they got addicted to the sample and wanted the full dose. And once you get the full dose and get away with the full dose, you want now to repeat the experience again and again. And there are many people who have found themselves lying, cheating, stealing, creating entire false situations just so they can get their next fix. Yeah, which is amazing stuff. So we're listening. I'm listening. I'm just contributing.
Yeah. So for that reason, I mean, I was honest with my wife and just said, look, you know what? I need to withdraw this perfume and I'll give it out. So I actually gave it out and bought another one. And she understood. I think she's even talked about it, you know, a couple of times. We just laugh over it, you know. So that's one example. Let me give you another example.
Proceed.
Now, there was this daughter of ours, spiritual daughter. She's Jamaican. And one particular year, we, myself and my wife, before we had our daughter, we decided to spend Christmas in Birmingham. So we went up to Birmingham, and we knew that she was up there in Birmingham. So we rang her up, and she was so happy. And we went over, you know, to her place, and you know, it was such a great reunion. You know, it was such a great reunion. And then we decided to go out for dinner. So we're out there for dinner, just laughing and joking and everything. I mean,
as you do. If laughing and fun times don't come together, that doesn't make any sense. But I completely understand. Yes.
So we're doing all this, and because I mean, she's really very close to us, and you know, so and her name was Charmaine. So maybe from time to time I'll just go Charmaine, and then at one point she just said to me that, oh, Pastor Shola, you know what? You have to stop this now. You have to stop this. I said, why? And my wife was there, and she said, you make me feel too comfortable.
Wow.
To a point that I'm beginning to process it in my mind, to a point that if a man comes along and he doesn't make me feel this comfortable, my conscience will reject him. As in, if he's not this nice.
Wow.
That if he's not this nice. In fact, my wife was there, where all three of us were there, and we were just laughing about it.
Yeah. It's serious business, you know.
Yeah.
It's serious business.
If you don't, you know, and she didn't mean it in a bad way at all.
No.
All three of us were there, right there. You know? So it wasn't just two of us, it was three of us there, but she just said that, man, that it's like the way you're going is like you set the bar so high that if I don't get a guy who is going to, like, you know, call my name this way, call my name that same way, I'll just think, nah, I don't want this guy. That I might end up rejecting everyone.
Yeah. Do you know what? Wow. Okay, proceed. No, proceed. I'm listening.
So that's one example.
And I guess that's a simple example, isn't it? Yeah. And I think what's interesting is, I guess also what we're not trying to say that people shouldn't be treated good or shouldn't be treated well, but I guess there is a deeper understanding for me that's going on here, which is that actually good treatment in and of itself is not bad.
Not bad.
But if good treatment has the potential to get in the way of God's purpose, that's where there can be an issue. And maybe this young lady was associating the comfort she feels majorly because she has not experienced that. Because you seem like a very genuine person. You know, a lot of people have hidden agendas. Generally, when they deal with people, they have hidden agendas. But you came with a very pure approach. And a lot of people don't know how to process pure. So even her saying what she was saying was like, oh, you know, I don't want to have unrealistic expectations.
That's
do you know what I mean?
Unrealistic.
And it's like, but actually, Pastor, that's what being an authentic and genuine man provides.
Yeah.
It provides the level of comfort that you are at peace with the person, you are at peace with yourself, you are at peace with the experience. And most people are compromising on that, so much so that you look like a crazy person. Being that kind of makes sense.
Yes.
And this is the thing that people don't realize about soul ties. Soul ties have the ability to taint something that's good for you,
Yeah.
and make it look bad.
Yes. Yes.
And then they also have the ability to make something that is actually bad for you and make it look so good. They have the ability to twist your mind to a place where you don't even realize you're under the influence of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Until someone comes up to you and asks you a strategic question, a revelatory question, many people remain in bondage until somebody comes and says, look, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about the fact that the reason you can't move on from your previous relationship is because not only did you have sexual relations with that person, but you have media relations with that person. You have intrinsic private investigation techniques that you use to stalk and find out where this person is, what they're doing.
Yeah.
You didn't realize how controlling you could be until that relationship ended, because you wanted to still have influence. And that's what many people don't realize. Soul ties are associated with influence.
Yes.
So human beings, by nature, we want to influence situations. And so when we lose connection with a person, we rely on that soul tie, that soul connection to do certain things. And, you know, of course, like we said, it drives people to do crazy, unnecessary things just so they can get back into that place or position of influence. So let's talk a little bit about how soul ties are overlooked, especially in the process of finding love and relationships.
Now, the one thing that I have noticed, you know, like we all have different backgrounds, we all have different family backgrounds, we all have different family experiences, and any adult you meet today is not a blank computer. You are not a blank computer. You are filled with programmings that came through from your past, whether good or bad. So any adult you meet today is a product of programs that are
right. Oh, come on now.
Either good or bad inside your system. So it's like, if I meet you today, I'm not meeting a blank person who doesn't have a past or experiences. I'm meeting a person who has been programmed, whether rightly or wrongly, and those programs play a strong part in determining how you behave, how you react to things. I'll give you an example. There was a girl way back then in Lagos. I was still single, and I met her in church, and she was a really, really nice person. And I was thinking maybe this could be it. Oh, we're even in Bible school together. We're in the same class. So that kind of like softened me a bit. It was almost like we're pursuing the same things, because I wanted God. And that was why I decided to attend that Bible school. And there she was also in the same class with me in the Bible school. So I remember I had the car then, and I used to drop her off at home, you know, after church, you know, and all the rest. And we got fond of each other. We used to talk a lot. So you can imagine, one day I was driving home with her, and I'm sure you remember the hangout we had that day. We had, you know, we took pictures, we were holding each other. I do that to all my friends.
Yes.
So we're in the car, and I just tapped her hand. I wanted to say something. So it's like, maybe if I want to make a point, you know, with you, I could just, you know, gesticulate and just tap you, say, hey, Vito, come and see this. Come. So I just tapped her that way, and she just did.
Woo. All right.
Straight away, I just knew that this wasn't ordinary, number one. Secondly, I knew this had nothing to do with me. So I said, excuse me, why did you jump that way?
Mhm.
Then she didn't say anything. So I said, this is not ordinary. Why did you jump that
Mhm.
way? Now, I brought her back to consciousness, but because she wasn't ready to tell me,
Mhm.
I tapped her the same way again, and she still moved. She still jerked. So I said, oh, you see? I said, there is a story behind this. And then the next thing she said to me was, oh, my ex-boyfriend. So that guy beat me silly.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the moment your fingers touched my hand here, I saw him trying to beat me again.
Oy.
That was why I jerked.
Wow. Wow.
So that girl was a product of that program.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was gone, but the program was still running. So
right,
many of us have programs running inside us, but the people who made those programs come are possibly long gone.
Oh, see, this is the thing, Pastor, which I think perhaps if anyone doesn't understand the gravity behind why, as you become a Christian, the importance of renewing your mind becomes so critical. It's like a life and death situation, you see.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how life and death it is. It's literally like the renewing of your mind is your life.
Yes, your life depends on it.
And the lack of renewal is your downfall.
Yep.
Because it's almost like, but I thought you see, people don't understand that you being free makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
And actually, you're a more enticing target when you're free. Because if you're already in bondage, if you're already a slave to your lusts, if you're already a slave to your soul ties, if you're already a slave to your programming, okay, there are certain potentials you can't achieve.
Yeah.
But see, when you are free, the ability to rise, come on, I'm talking about somebody's being helped by this. When you are free, the ability to rise is so much more intense.
Yeah.
So when your enemy, the enemy of your calling, sees you on the rise, he knows this is going to be a problem for me. Yeah. So I must try and trim it down. No. I couldn't stop them using the sample. I couldn't stop them using the dose. I can't stop them using the stronghold. Now I must do guns blazing.
Yes.
So you are more enticing. So the enemy will send you a lot more issues than the person who's not free.
Yeah.
Because the person who is not free can't even tell that they're in bondage. No, but you who can tell, are a problem, because your awareness will raise awareness for others.
Yeah.
But if you're free and you are put back into bondage, you know, it's almost like there's this biblical principle that a lot of people don't realize. When you're free and you go back into bondage, it's like your state is worse than the beginning.
Yeah. 7 times more.
7 times more. So this is why you could be a woman who escapes domestic violence, a woman who escapes issues, but somehow find yourself with a worse person than you were with before.
Yep.
Because your freedom is so enticing. And this, I think I'm going to speak very honestly. This is part of the reason why both men who are saved and unsaved prefer women who are saved.
Yeah.
This is just the fact.
Yeah, I know.
That's the preference. The preference is because you are free. The preference is because you are committed to something. The preference is because when you are, you become more attractive based on what you are committed to.
Yes.
So a man who is looking to build you won't want to stop what God is doing in your life. But a man who is looking to pillage you is even saying to himself, you are an accomplishment to him.
Yeah.
If he can conquer you, if he can be the exception to your rules, if he can be the exception to your personal commandments, if he can be the exception to your vulnerabilities, that to him is a plus.
Yes.
But for the person who is on the other side, it is detrimental.
Yeah.
Important stuff we're sharing right now. And I mean, what else can we say on this subject? There's too much to say. So let's talk a little bit about how men respond to soul ties.
Okay. Now
you talk about fragrances. Now, you know, may God deliver us, because the fragrances are just getting a bit stronger these days, isn't it? You know, and to name a few, there are some which are just too dangerous. And actually, the more expensive the perfume is, it is, the more it's likely to attract the nostrils of people you don't even want to be smelling your business. So let us proceed to talk about the effects of soul ties on men specifically.
Now, I would say that generally speaking, of course, when you say generally speaking, you would have some exceptions, is that men, when men begin to get into soul ties, they express themselves more sexually. And that starts at a very early age. Now, if you don't have godly upbringing, if you don't have godly restraint imposed on you, you know, through your walk with God or through godly upbringing, then you're just gonna be out of control as you grow up. Now, the issue is this. For most men, I'm not saying all, most men, the attachment usually is not to a particular person. The attachment is to the experience. The attachment is not always to a particular person, but the attachment is to the experience. And like we said earlier, whatever you keep doing repeatedly becomes a habit.
Right.
And habits become hard to kick. I'll give you an example. I think maybe like a few months after I got married, I think I had mentioned it before last week that, you know, back then in Lagos, if you didn't come to work with your car, you could possibly, like, you know, get a ride maybe to some bus stop, and usually cars are filled. So maybe like if a colleague of yours comes in a car, you probably fill the car up with another 4 people,
right,
you know, to travel. So you see, we're not just going to sit down and, you know, be silent. You know, it's going to be all buzzing and chatty all within the car. You know, and it depends on who is driving the conversation, really. So on this particular day, there were 5 people in the car. The driver was male, married. There were 4 of us men, and 1 other person. The last person was female. Now, the lady who was female, the lady was, or more like the person who was female, rather. I kind of like was aware of her background. I knew the street, or more like she told me the street on which she grew up. Now, if you know Lagos very well, the street where she grew up was next to a street that we used to call 42nd Street.
Okay.
In Lagos. Now, 42nd Street was right behind Fela's house. The one that got burnt by the soldiers. That's I'm sure you know the musician Fela.
Yes.
So anyone who knows Lagos well knows that if you grew up beside 42nd Street, you've seen it all before the age of 6. So that's where she grew up. And she had no problem at all starting a conversation that was of a sexual nature.
Right.
And there are 4 others there, we're all men and we're all married. So the
Right.
moment she kick-started, you know, like usually men will kind of like, you know, have a little respect that, oh, okay, if a woman is there, we'll probably like keep our dirty stuff away and, you know, let the woman go. Aha, then, you know, it's going to be free for all. Now, because she started it, the guys just felt that, oh, okay, let's go, come on. So they now turned to one particular guy who's married, who just got married. I think he got married after me, and just asked him a question, said, hey, man, so are you back on the streets now? I mean, that's the interpretation, that's the literal meaning of what they were saying to him. And the guy said, not yet back, but hopefully soon. So I knew what they were talking about.
Wow.
So the conversation just started. Now, in 4 of us, there were about, I think 2 of them were born again. And I knew the churches that these guys attended. I knew they were born again Christians, but they shocked me. You know, and this conversation, you know, went on, you know, about sexual experiences with various women.
Yeah.
Now the issue was this: if all this happened just before we got born again, I understand. I completely understand. You know, boys are boys, you know.
Yeah.
But then these guys were born again. These guys were saved. And it appeared that that bit of their lives just kept going and didn't stop. Right. And then from there, the next thing we now jumped on was they now began to say, oh, so how long did you last at home before you got back on the streets? So for some, it was a few weeks. For some, was a few months. But nobody there, except me, jumped out, I think, any later than 6 months. Or more like earlier. Except for, so it's like 2 guys were already out. One guy was saying that soon, and I was saying no. So at some point, I then asked these guys, I said, okay, guys, we're now married. We now have our own wives. Now we can drive with a proper license without the fear of being caught.
Come on, somebody.
Or arrested. I said,
yes.
We can now drive freely on the motorway without any fear of being arrested. I said, so why are we not doing all this crazy stuff with our own wives and walk out of the place not thinking that who saw me? Who's
come on now?
And one of them turned to me and said, look, do you want me to tell you why? I said, yes, go ahead. He said, look, when you're doing it with your wife, you treat her with respect. When you're doing it with the side chick, you go at her like a beast. So the guy,
this is born again boys talking, yes?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on with the world right now.
So the guy said, how do you expect me to squeeze my own wife against the bed? I said, that's not going to happen. So those experiences are reserved for the ones outside on the street. And those are the real fun experiences.
Right.
So, and this guy said, look, what I get from this one is different from what I get from this other one. The experience is different. So what the guys were saying was that, look, we're already accustomed to assorted experiences with an assorted range of people, that marriage is not going to stop us from being satisfied with these assorted experiences. So But you see, where did all this start?
Hmm.
It all started from while we were young.
Wow. This is crazy. I think, you know, what's quite interesting is sort of as you're talking, I get this picture. Oh, yeah, no, I get this picture of these things that people are exposed to that don't that open doors of bondage. You know, where we're supposed to have been opening doors of freedom, right?
Yeah.
There's doors of bondage that were opened. And, you know, just because it looks like a door doesn't mean it's something you should enter, you know? But many people don't stop to check what's behind the door. They don't stop to think what could be behind the door, you know? And that lack of thinking, especially for men, Pastor, this is something that I'm very passionate about, especially at this time in my life, is to see men rise out of these thinking patterns that sort of dictate that wherever sex is, that man must be present.
Yeah.
wherever legs are open, the man must be there. I don't agree with that mindset. I don't, because it doesn't facilitate for greatness.
Yeah.
You know, because I can be honest right now. A man who's always got sex on the mind isn't a man who is destined to be great. He may be influential. He may be able to cause other people to sway to his will, but that's not a successful man. Because true success, holistically, is not the pillaging of women across the board. I mean, let's even talk, for example, when we talk about Solomon and how Solomon's addiction to women literally led to the destruction of his greatness.
Yes. Yes.
And he at his pinnacle was telling everyone that all the things that I pursue, despite the wisdom I have, are all vanity.
Vanity, yeah.
So for me to pursue all of these things and discover that it was vanity at the end, we as men can't keep repeating the same issue, the same mistakes, but then hoping that our case will be treated differently.
No.
Because this is a man who had money. This is a man who had influence. This is a man who had the secrets to agriculture.
Yeah.
He had the secrets to dealing with famine. And from, you know, further study I've seen, he even had the secrets to dealing with demonic oppression. Okay, so this was somebody who was well clued up. But even in his well clued upness, no matter how knowledgeable you are, knowledge is inefficient if it cannot cause you to have control over yourself.
Yes.
Knowledge is pointless if it cannot cause you to first have control over yourself. You can have control over elements, you can talk the tongues of angels, you can cast out devils, you can do all of those things, but knowledge is useless to you if it does not first put you into subjection.
Yeah.
You see, this is the thing, Pastor, that I've noticed, especially for men as well, is that we go after knowledge, not so that we have personal discipline, but so that we have a greater permission to do the things that we feel like doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So people are even studying for the wrong reasons. You know, they're not studying to show themselves approved. You know, they're studying to do something else. They're studying so that they have a way in. And do you know how I know this? Do you remember, I think it's 2 Timothy chapter 3, which talks about the men who specifically creep into the houses of women who are overladen with their sin. Does that kind of make sense? There's a type of man, come on now, all my ladies, I hope you're paying attention. Pay attention to what I'm saying right now. There is a type of man within. Oh, Pastor, am I allowed? Can I? Can I?
Go on.
Seamless, it's my show.
Going.
Yeah? There is a type of man who is specifically focused on taking advantage of vulnerable women. Listen to what I'm saying. And this guy will purport Christianity in its fullest. I mean, this person is so knowledgeable but they will still put you 6 feet under.
In fact,
proceed.
That even reminds me, you know, I have a broadcast that I call Bozo, you know, like knowing how to protect the difference between a Boaz and a Bozo. Now, there are things I wrote, based on, my observations and experiences in life that, look, this is how a Bozo will come at you. These are the sort of, things that Bozo is going to detect about you, or these are the sort of things that Bozo will throw at you, and your response to it will give him the signal that it can come in. So I have a broadcast, that, like lists all those things out. And one day, a guy actually contacted me on Twitter and said to me that, look, thank you for your Bozo broadcast. I was like, why? He said, everything you said that the women fall for, that the Bozos use, I just picked them out of the broadcast and went to town and keep using them, and I've been getting more women.
Wow. See what I was saying? So wait, so does this even confirm what I'm talking about? The man who is studying this knowledge so he can take advantage of people who don't have the level of self-control it takes to say no.
Yeah. So I am tweeting to the women saying that, don't let this guy use this trick, this trick, this trick to get you. So here is the tweet, and it says, oh, okay, so this is the trick, this is the trick, this is the trick. All right, so I go to town. And he made sure that he avoided people who read my tweets.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Because he knew that if you had seen those tweets before and he comes across that way, that you're gonna sort him out. That no. We already know who you are. So he made sure of that.
And it's so funny that you're saying that, because I'm just thinking about this whole idea of allowing how men of this nature, see, Pastor, because my thing is my concern, and I've seen this happening, especially in the last few weeks. I sent you a video. We're not going to mention the name of that video, okay?
No,
we don't want to make people unnecessarily more popular than they already are.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I had been sort of discovering in the process of watching the degeneration of my generation was how people who are loud seem to be paid attention more to than people who are sensible. Now, and a part of the reason for this is because that loudness is not what makes the person heard. It's actually the lifestyle that person is propagating that makes them easy to hear. Now, what worries me, Pastor, is when people like that claim to have received some form of transformation, but continue to justify in front of others, boldly in front of others, that what they are doing is correct, or that it's right, or that nobody should judge their activities.
Yeah, don't judge me. Don't judge me.
Because everyone is doing it. And it's like, do you know, I think probably the words "don't judge me" they are a design of the devil. And I just can't call a spade, to be honest. The words "don't judge me" are a design of the devil, and I'll explain why. They're a design of the devil because what they're basically saying is, don't discern me. Don't discern my actions. Don't discern the quality of what I'm doing. Just accept it for what it is. If I am on your TV screen, do not scrutinize my habits. Do not scrutinize my statements. Do not question the way that I am talking. I'm confused. What world is this person living in? What world are these people living in that they think that you can speak on public platforms, okay? Public platforms to both vulnerable and knowledgeable people, and think that you can make such statements and no one is going to check those statements. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And for me, my worry is for somebody like that to claim that they have received a divine touch from God. I'm not sure about that. Because I think that a divine touch from God, I'm about to say something which is quite interesting, and pay attention, which is that a divine touch from God alters your speech first.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know? When I can cite an example of this, when I think it was Isaiah had his divine encounter.
Yeah, take the coal, touch my lips.
Yeah, exactly. He even asked for it to happen. He asked for his lips to be burnt.
Yeah.
So that whatever was used to coming out would be uncomfortable coming out of his lips. But when you see a man who can continue talking the way he used to talk, despite having a divine encounter, something's wrong there. And that's not a man transformed. That is a man who that is a wolf who has decided to wear sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
And sew himself up inside it. The worst part is that, these type of sheep are the ones that, when all the sheep are sleeping, they come out of that shell. They come out of that thing, and they consume as much as they like. And then as soon as the shepherd comes along and goes, "What's going on here?" "Nothing. I didn't do anything. I didn't bother. I didn't touch anyone." Meanwhile, they've left a trail of destruction. There's bloodshed everywhere. There's pain everywhere. There's anguish everywhere. Men like this make me angry. They frustrate me. They frustrate me because even when you are speaking sense to the women that you are speaking to, if those women take this knowledge but do not allow it to gauge their self-control, they will still be victims to the speech of underformed men, of unreformed men. Like, I'm not even lying to you, Pastor. My major concern is never the men who are outside of this kingdom of God. It's the ones who are inside who are behaving like the ones outside. Those guys are excessively dangerous because they have spiritual influence that is divine at its root, but poisonous at its fruit. It's so hard to explain that statement. It's divine at its root, but poisonous at its fruit. Because it's tainted. It's tainted with hidden agendas. It's tainted with hidden motives. How can you date a woman for 9-10 years and then just bye and you leave and then you go and 2-3 months later you collect a new one, and the new one even accepted you. The new one accepted you knowing that you just came from something of 9 years, 9-10 years. Because she too also wants the attention. It's worrying.
So crazy.
It's worrying. All right, so let's proceed a little bit. I'd like to play a song for our listeners tonight, and I don't even know where to go now. But I think I will play. Where am I? Okay, I think I'm going to play a song called "No Fun Alone" by Mali Music. All right, guys, you enjoy this, and we'll be back after these short messages. For some reason, it's taking a while. All right, there we go. Yes, so my pastor, you're doing so well.
Oh, so you're off air now.
You're doing so well. Yeah, you're doing really well. Yeah, so for me, so I guess it's something that I want to tackle a little bit more. Sort of the corruption of believing men, or men who claim to believe, but are deeply corrupted. Because obviously when you talk to a lot of Christian girls, you hear this thought process of, I believe in God, but I don't have to change my life to be with God. And that worries me. It worries me because I'm like, you are the people who are causing us more trouble than the ones who are unsaved. The ones who are unsaved don't know. They're not aware. It's okay. But the ones who are claiming to be saved, no, that's a problem. And as much as we can, we'll try and address that. Thank you so much to all of you who are listening. So we've got some amazing comments going on in the comment section. We've got Etty saying, my uncles are preaching good. Hey, fire. Okay.
Hello,
I heard somebody say, yes, Miss Kanayo, Dr. Kanayo says, preach that word. Had to switch accounts quickly. Yes, you need to make sure that it's being registered the right way. Okay. And a lot of true talk. She said, yes, we are enjoying every minute of this. And then Dr. Kanaya quoted, she said, just because it looks like a door doesn't mean that you should enter. She also said, self-control was the last thing in the list when it comes to the fruit of the Spirit, because it is a pivotal point of all the characteristics in the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah. Perfect.
Love that. And then it says, the one on the inside that behave like the ones outside. See, this is a problem right here. Yeah. This is a big problem. And then Miss B has come in and said, tonight is heavy. So, Pastor, we're hitting some nerves right now, and I'm happy about that. Yeah, I'm happy about that. So let's keep hitting the nerves in the last 20 minutes. Let's see how much we can get done.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes I feel like when it comes to soul ties, you get that idea that this is why I see why you frequently tweet about it. Because just when you think you've touched the thing, you realize that there's so much more to go. It's a whole mission.
Oh, there is so much more.
It's a whole mission field. All right, so we've got 17 seconds, and I'm gonna come back in real quick.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of you who are tuned in. We appreciate you. And here goes. All right, hello and good evening. Hello and good evening. Hello and good evening. Just making sure that I'm getting sound on this. It's loading. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Let's just check that one. There we go. Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Mr. and Mrs. Vito on Reconcilers Radio in conjunction with OFNC 18 to 30s. Yes, indeed. We are in the building right now. I am chilling with Pastor Shola Adio as we discuss Breaking Soul Ties Part 2. Now, obviously, in breaking a soul tie, you must gain a deeper understanding of how they work and what they exactly are, so that when you experience emotions, when you realize that there are strings that are still attached, you're able to surgically remove those connections. Because I'm about to say something, Pastor, which maybe I didn't get a chance to touch on, which is that when you fail to deal with soul ties appropriately, you leave yourself in a place where you have to take extreme measures. And the extreme measures are when you cut off everyone because you're trying to get rid of one person. And most people don't realize that because they're not willing to go through the intricate thought processes of dealing with soul ties, they lose many more people that God had a plan for in their lives. These could be the people that you were supposed to help. These could be people who were supposed to help you, So your destiny killer is affecting you, but then you end up cutting off destiny helpers because of soul ties that you didn't deal with appropriately. How many times I pray, my prayer is that people never get to the stage where they have to amputate limbs, where they have to literally gouge out organs, all in the name of breaking a connection with somebody who doesn't deserve the same amount of respect
or attention.
And at the end of the day, when you meet your next person who actually wants to love you, they have to first donate their organ. Come on, what kind of nonsense is that? They have to donate their kidney, liver, lung, just because you didn't surgically remove the issue.
Yeah.
So my prayer is that in the process, as we discuss, people are getting strategies on how to surgically cut loose from soul ties.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know that it's more than the first prayer that you say. It's more than the second prayer that you say. Heck, it's even more than the 10th prayer that you say about that topic. It's more about gaining the conviction to cut that connection right from its root.
Hmm.
To cut that connection from the image in your mind. So every image that you have about sex and sexual relations has to be doctored, it has to be vetted, it has to be purified, not erased. Hear what I'm trying to say, Pastor? Because you know, sometimes some people are under the impression that what we're saying now is, so you mean well, if I cut off my soul ties, then I won't have sexual feelings. No, what I'm trying to get across is that if you don't surgically remove, if you don't purify certain attachments that you have, you could lose feeling altogether. So let's talk a little bit about how soul ties can affect sexual desire in women. Because we talked about how they can affect, you know, men. But what about women?
Women. Okay. I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to back up a little bit to talk about God's original design and God's original purpose for sex. Now, when God put Adam and Eve in the garden, I mean, this was man and wife. And there were three reasons, major reasons why God gave sex to them. And he gave it to this couple. Now, the first reason was for consummation of the marriage covenant between the man and the woman. So that was the first reason, for consummation. So sex was a way of the man and his wife consummating the marriage.
Absolutely. And I'll just add there that the word consummation means the point at which something is complete or finalized.
Finalized. Yeah. Now, and that's something that's already started, but in the physical, it's now being finalized. So that's first reason that we want to see. And when that happened, under a perfect scenario, I'm saying under a perfect scenario, maybe not all, definitely not all scenarios, what was supposed to happen was that the man's organ was meant to penetrate and break a certain wall in the woman's organ. And then there was a mixture of fluids, a mixture of blood contacting each other's blood contacting through DNA and stuff. And there was a union. So this union was now complete: spirit, soul, and body. So that's number one purpose. And this was meant to happen between a man and his wife.
Right.
Now, the second purpose was for procreation. So that's, I mean, the should I say the standard way, because you know, in days of technology now, I'm sure there are other ways of making babies. So, but this was the standard way of procreating and bringing new children, new human beings into the earth through sexual activity.
Right.
And then the third reason was for recreation. So recreation between that, at a particular point, they're not interested in procreating, but they just want to have some recreation. So those were the three reasons why God instituted sex in the context of marriage.
Right.
Now, the moment man fell in the Garden of Eden, everything that God had given to man, Satan took control of it.
Right.
And then twisted it. So the issue now was that sex was given inside marriage, and by the time Satan was done with it, it was now operating freely outside marriage. And you see, what Satan was out to do was to destroy the integrity of the marriage covenant. Which is that, look, if I can get you guys going in all sorts of things, then you will not even bother to wait for marriage. You will not even bother to live a holy life. And also, as sexual activity was going on outside marriage, it then had spiritual implications.
Come on now.
Now, those spiritual implications, they affect both men and women, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. Number one, when you start having sex outside marriage, fornication or adultery, looking at the first reason I gave, which was consummation, what you are doing is that you are consummating a marriage with a person that you really never got married to. And once that happens, your souls are knit together in that activity. And then you have what you call soul ties.
Now, you know what? I'd love to. Let me just. I want to insert something here because what you are sharing is very potent stuff. So, and sort of tie it down to sort of scriptural.
Yeah.
Scripture. When the Bible says that Adam knew his wife and the two became one flesh. Okay. The word one flesh there, I don't know what the original Hebrew word is, but the word one flesh there, the meaning for that word was that the two became like Siamese twins.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So it's a conjoining. Okay? A conjoining of two people that are together for life.
Yes.
This means wherever I walk, my Siamese twin will walk. Wherever I talk, my Siamese twin will talk and will also hear. Basically, we are joined like that. Okay.
Yes. So you now imagine joining up with 8 people that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me give you an example that will bring this closer home. Because what Satan also does is that once you bring out these principles, people will attack you and say, oh, but it's just a harmless thing. There's nothing, you guys are only just making it look as though it's something serious. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
But there are times where these things will manifest fully and you'll be able to appreciate that these things have serious implications. Let me give you an example. There was a guy in Delta State. This was a true story. A guy in Delta State is a Christian, born again, on fire for Jesus, but not well guided. So what happened was that this guy used to go out on evangelism, to preach to people. We used to do that a lot when I was in school. We'd go out to the streets to talk to people about Christ and get them born again. We actually got a lot of people got born again that way on campus.
Right.
Now, so this guy went into a prostitute's den to preach the gospel to them. Now, he went in there alone. He did not go in there. I mean, if you look at the scriptures, Jesus sent disciples out 2 by 2, 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Jesus knew what he was doing. He sent people out 2 by 2. This guy went 1 by 1.
Then he found out he was bumper to bumper instead of.
So in fact, the guy would go there. He didn't go there just once. He went there a number of times, and at a certain time, one of the prostitutes said, "All right, come over into my room and preach this gospel. I want to listen to this in my room." And then he went in there, and from preaching the gospel, the guy started laying hands on her. He started having sex with this prostitute.
Oh my days!
Now it didn't stop there. This sex was so sweet to the guy that now the prostitute was not yet born again. Was so sweet to the guy that the guy now went to his church, now asked that is it possible for him to get married to her, because something had happened in the spirit realm. He was now co-joined with this lady that he could not see. That he was blinded. He became blind like Samson, that he could not see the way forward. How do you go to your pastor to say to your pastor that I have met a prostitute out there, and how do I get married to her? Because the sex was so great. All this started where did the journey start? A guy with the Bible,
Yeah,
wanting to go preach the gospel.
yeah. Good
So
intentions. Good
so you see,
intentions.
so you see how dangerous
Okay.
sexual soul ties are.
Yeah.
Very, very dangerous.
Yeah, and it's so funny because as you say that, I always share this with people who know me and have known me for a long time. When in the previous relationship I was in, okay, I always make mention of this. One day, Pastor, I was um, I was on the verge, okay. I was always thinking about it, but I was on the verge of involving myself sexually with this person. And when I say sexually, I mean literally going the full Monty. I've been a virgin for a very long time, and I was on the verge of going inside. And as I was about to, the time when I was contemplating all of this, it's almost like God had to rebuke me real quick, and He said, "Hey, hey." I said, "What?" I said, "Yes." He said, "The day you enter into this particular woman," okay, very specific instruction. He said, "The day you enter," he said, "anything you call destiny, forget about it." You know, Pastor, I've never had my destiny hung in a balance like that before. I've never had it. I mean, who would have equated my destiny experience with my sexual experience? I thought sex, as you said, was for procreation, was for recreation. So I want to procreate. I want to recreate. Dates. I don't realize the gravity of this procreation and recreation. People think that procreation is just a child that comes out. No, there are many other things that are inseminated and given birth to in that experience that you cannot control if there is no covenant to surround it. If there is no godly covenant to surround it, you cannot control the effects of your sexual experience with someone.
But Satan is in charge.
Right.
He's in charge 100%.
Absolutely. So one day now, Pastor, I'm ready to engage. All right. And this lady is near me. She's my house. Okay. She's near me. I'm ready to engage. That's the one day that my brother decided to visit. So I was ready, and my brother decided to show up randomly, unannounced. Do you know, I've never been angry in my life, but I think that day I was angry because I was like, I was about to get recreation. Then you now come with, you destroyed my experience. I remember that I said, you know what if God was trying to save my destiny? And today I can honestly say, had that not happened, I don't think I'd be here doing what I'm doing. For some people, they don't realize that they're disqualifying themselves from God's purposes. Slowly but surely, regardless of how well chosen you are, as long as you are indulging in creating covenants with people that God has not sanctioned for you to create covenants with, as long as you've opened doors of conversation and experience that God has not sanctioned for you to do so, you are creating an environment that is hostile to your destiny. And soul ties just have a way of wrapping you up in cords that you can't break free of.
In fact, I want to give you an example of a spiritual implication of soul ties. There was a lady who she was involved in a covenant when she was a child. Now that covenant was caught in proxy with her for her, I think either her mom or her grandmom, to get healed of an ailment.
Right.
So she remembered that she went somewhere, she did something, but that's all she could remember. Many years later, and she wasn't even really saved. So many years later, when she started her sexual journey, she then discovered that whoever she had sex with would have a dream. And in that dream, some geezer is going to turn up and start dealing blows on this guy. Boo, 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 boo. That girl is my wife. Don't ever have sex with her again. Boo, boo. I'm the husband. She is my wife. Don't ever. Not once, not twice. So you put yourself in awkward spiritual situations if you are a person that is given to fornication. And these are very terrible consequences of soul ties. Another consequence of soul ties, or more like another effect of soul ties, is that it beclouds your judgment.
Yeah.
Means you don't have control. Like David, for instance, when David did not go to war and saw that lady from afar. So he saw her, processed her, and as far as I'm aware, or no, as far as I am concerned, by my own perception, he had already slept with her before they brought her into the house. Because if he had not done that, he would not have sent for her. He didn't send for her to come and have a prayer meeting. You understand? So those are the effects that you begin to see. Is like there's a lack of restraint.
Yeah.
Even after you have gotten married. That's why, you know, people say to me that, oh, well, if you get married, that'll be the end of soul ties, sexual soul ties anyway. I said, no, that's not the end. Because all that has happened is that your wife has only become one of your many sexual partners. You have not dealt with the underlying problem, which was the illustration I gave earlier on, where the guys were saying that, oh, yes, we're now married, but the assorted experiences have to continue. So what then happens is that you are picking up stuff when you do this, and you are also leaving stuff behind spiritually when you lie around in fornication. Then there was one other thing you said, you know, that Adam knew his wife, Eve. Now that word knew there is one of the most intimate translations of the word knew in the Hebrew.
Wow.
And meanwhile, there was an incident some chapters later of a guy called, what's his name again? Lot. Lot. His wife, his daughters, you know, decided to, you know, like, you know, getting drunk and, you know, like sleeping and all the rest. And then they produced some children. And those children, they also have spiritual implication.
Oh, come on now.
They were the ones who wanted to push Jehoshaphat and the throne of Israel out in 2 Chronicles 20.
Yeah.
Moab and Ammon and Sarah. There were 3 tribes that wanted to push them out. 2 out of those 3 tribes were the children that were born for Lot. And so there are 2, I use those expressions on Twitter a lot. I said, when a man has sex with his wife, knew her. When you are having sex with someone you're not married to, you are laying together. So
you know, Pastor, I'm gonna have to cut you short now.
Yeah.
We are literally hitting the wisdom rankings right now, and unfortunately we've run out of time on our radio broadcast.
Yeah.
But if you would like to join us, you can join us from 9 p.m. Okay, on Mr. and Mrs. Vito on YouTube. All right, folks, thank you so much for your time, and we will be seeing you all later. You come chat with us, you can ask questions, and then we will give it 1 more hour. Is that okay, Pastor? We can give it 1 more hour, can't we?
Oh, yeah, we can.
All right, so yeah, we can give it 1 more hour from about 9 p.m. So we're going to go back. We will send out all the social media information, and we'll speak to you real soon. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and make sure you stay tuned.
So
Peace.
9 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. So my pastor. All right. So folks, what we're gonna do, right? I feel like we're literally touching on something very, very exclusive, and it should be a good session because you know, Pastor, one of the things that I know is that people are probably getting home now. Some people are getting home now, and they're ready to go into the full exercise. So we can I guess we can give them an hour or so.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'm gonna try and get home as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I'm settled in, we literally get back to this conversation.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are listening, make sure you tune in at 9 o'clock. We will send the details out for the second part of this show, and then see how we can build this conversation. Obviously, there are so many things that we want to say, that we want to share, but we know that time on the platform, radio platform, has come to an end. But we'll be back at 9 o'clock. So I'm going to set the reminders and all of that business, and the information will be out with you real soon. God bless you so much, and thank you for your time. So, Pastor, we will come back and we will. And somebody said, you see the comments right now, somebody said we are still here, and you both are just doing deliverance for us right now, and this is powerful. So I'm so glad that we are having this conversation. So 9 o'clock, people, and we will see you in a bizzle. All right, come back to this channel, this YouTube channel. Come back. All right, God bless you all. We'll speak to you real soon. Peace and love. 9 to 10. Remember that. 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. We appreciate you. All right. Bye.